Baking soda has a Mohs hardness rating of 2.5. Human tooth enamel has a Mohs hardness rating of 5. That means baking soda is soft enough to scrub every surface of a tooth without scratching, without wearing, without damaging the enamel. No matter how many times it is used, the abrasion is mechanical but gentle. It removes plaque, food residue, and surface stains the same way a soft cloth removes dust from glass. Fine salt, sodium chloride, has a Mohs hardness of 2 when dissolved in saliva, even softer than baking soda. But it does something baking soda cannot. It creates a hypertonic solution in the mouth. A salt concentration high enough to draw moisture out of bacterial cells, killing them on contact. Salt does not mask bacteria with mint flavor. It eliminates bacteria at the cellular level, combined in a small jar, 3 parts baking soda to 1 part fine salt with 5 drops of peppermint oil. These ingredients produce a tooth powder that cleans, whitens, disinfects, and freshens breath. The cost per use is less than 1 cent. A single batch lasts 3 to 4 months. Before 1945, this formula sat on the bathroom shelf of every household in America. It was not sold, it was not branded, it was not advertised, it was mixed in the kitchen and used until it ran out. Then it was mixed again. Then the $35 billion oral care industry made sure you would never learn how. The global oral care industry generates $35 billion a year. In the United States alone, consumers spend over $10 billion annually on toothpaste, mouthwash, whitening products, and specialty rinses. Colgate-Palmolive, a single company, earns over $4 billion a year from oral care products. Procter & Gamble's Crest brand generates another $2 billion, 2 companies. Selling paste, the average American buys 8 to 12 tubes of toothpaste a year. Each tube costs $3 to $8, that is $30 to $96 a year, for a product whose primary cleaning agent is either sodium bicarbonate or hydrated silica, baking soda or powdered sand. Both available at any grocery store for under $1 per pound. Walk into any pharmacy in America. Walk down the oral care aisle. Whitening toothpaste, sensitivity toothpaste, cavity protection toothpaste, gum care toothpaste, charcoal toothpaste, enamel repair toothpaste, children's toothpaste, prescription toothpaste, each one in a different colored box with a different claim and a different price tag. Every single one of them performs the same basic function. A mild abrasive mixed with a surfactant removes plaque and food particles from tooth surfaces. That is what toothpaste does. That is all toothpaste does. The flavoring, the foaming, the colored stripes, the gel texture, these are marketing. They do not clean teeth, they sell tubes. Over a lifetime, the average American spends between $4,000 and $7,000 on oral care products. A jar of baking soda and salt mixed at home costs less than $1 and lasts 4 months. That is $3 a year. Over 65 years of adult brushing, the homemade formula costs under $200 total. The commercial version costs over $5,000. The $200 version has no tube, no box, no advertising campaign, no celebrity endorsement, no whitening guarantee, no subscription delivery service. It has baking soda. It has salt. It works. It has always worked. The reason it is not on your bathroom shelf right now is not because it stopped cleaning teeth. It is because a $35 billion industry cannot exist if you know about it. Every tube you buy is a solution to a problem your great-grandmother solved with a kitchen ingredient that costs 60 cents a pound. The entire business model depends on one thing: that you never open the baking soda box for anything other than baking. In 1900, fewer than 10% of Americans used commercially manufactured toothpaste. Colgate had been selling it in jars since 1873 and in tubes since 1896. But the overwhelming majority of American households used homemade tooth powder, baking soda, crushed chalk, salt, sage leaf, charcoal. These were the standard oral hygiene tools for the entire country. Then came Claude C. Hopkins. In 1917, Hopkins, one of the founding architects of modern advertising, was hired to sell Pepsodent toothpaste. He did not sell it by proving it cleaned teeth better than baking soda. He sold it by inventing a problem. He identified the thin film of mucin that naturally forms on all teeth, a film so harmless that dentists had never considered it worth mentioning. He named it. He called it the film. He told Americans they could feel it with their tongue. He told them it caused dingy teeth, bad breath, and decay. And he told them only Pepsodent could remove it. Within 5 years, Pepsodent went from an unknown product to a fixture in 65% of American homes. Hopkins did not sell a better cleaning agent. He manufactured a fear and sold the cure. The next shift came in 1945 when Procter & Gamble launched Crest with stannous fluoride. In 1960, the American Dental Association gave Crest its first ever seal of approval for a toothpaste. That seal became the gold standard of consumer trust. No homemade tooth powder could earn it, not because homemade powders were ineffective, because the ADA's endorsement program required a commercial applicant, a corporate sponsor, and a manufacturing process subject to formal review. The seal created a two-tier system. Products with the seal appeared safe, scientific, and dentist approved. Products without it, including every formula that had been cleaning American teeth for 2 centuries, appeared unverified, questionable, and risky. In 2017, the Journal of the American Dental Association published a meta-analysis reviewing 5 controlled clinical trials. The conclusion was clear. Baking soda dentifrices demonstrated statistically superior plaque removal compared to non-baking soda commercial toothpastes. The study was published. It was peer-reviewed. It confirmed what every generation before 1945 already knew. It was never referenced in a single toothpaste advertisement. It was never mentioned on any product label. It was never included in any consumer-facing dental hygiene guide produced by any toothpaste manufacturer. Not banned outright. Just never mentioned again in any dental school curriculum rewritten after 1965. Never referenced in any ADA consumer pamphlet distributed after 1960. Never included in any oral care recommendation a patient was ever handed in a dentist's waiting room. The formula did not fail. The formula was defunded, de-endorsed, and replaced by a product that costs 300% more and cleans no better. The system has 3 components. Every one of them is available at any grocery store in America for a combined total of less than $6. That $6 lasts an entire year. Here is exactly what each one does, how it works, and what it replaces. Component 1. Baking soda, sodium bicarbonate. A 1-pound box costs 60 cents at any grocery store. For tooth powder use, 1 pound lasts a single person 6 to 8 months. A family of 4 will go through 3 to 4 pounds per year. About $2.40 total. Baking soda is the cleaning agent. Its crystalline structure gives it a Mohs hardness of 2.5. Hard enough to mechanically dislodge plaque and food debris from tooth surfaces. Soft enough to never scratch enamel, which sits at 5 on the same scale. For comparison, hydrated silica, the abrasive used in most commercial toothpastes, has a Mohs hardness of 5 to 7. That means some commercial toothpastes are actually more abrasive to your enamel than the so-called primitive homemade version. Baking soda also neutralizes acid in the mouth. Cavity formation requires an acidic environment, a pH below 5.5. Baking soda has a pH of approximately 8.3. When dissolved in saliva, it raises the pH of the entire oral cavity above the threshold at which enamel demineralizes. It does not just clean teeth, it chemically protects them. The 5 clinical trials reviewed in the 2017 JADA meta-analysis tested baking soda formulations against leading commercial brands. In every trial, baking soda matched or outperformed the commercial product in plaque removal. In 3 of the 5 trials, the difference was statistically significant, in favor of baking soda. 1 ingredient, 60 cents, replaces whitening toothpaste, sensitivity toothpaste, cavity protection toothpaste, and tartar control toothpaste. That is 4 products eliminated 2. Fine sea salt or table salt. Sodium chloride. A 1-pound container of fine salt costs $1 at any grocery store. For tooth powder use, a single pound lasts 1 person well over a year. Salt is the antimicrobial agent. When salt contacts moisture in the mouth, it creates a hypertonic environment. A concentration of sodium chloride higher than the concentration inside bacterial cell walls. Osmosis pulls water out of the bacteria. The cells dehydrate and die. This is the same principle that has preserved meat, fish, and vegetables for 5,000 years. Salt does not fight bacteria. It makes the environment uninhabitable for them. A saltwater rinse, 1 teaspoon dissolved in 8 ounces of warm water, has been recommended by dentists for decades to treat gum inflammation and post-extraction healing. The same dental profession recommending salt water for healing actively discourages salt as a daily cleaning agent, while selling mouthwash that performs the identical function with synthetic antiseptics at a 400% markup. In the tooth powder formula, salt serves dual purpose. It kills oral bacteria on contact, and its fine granules provide a secondary gentle abrasive action that complements the baking soda. Together they scrub and sanitize in a single motion. One ingredient, $1 per year, replaces antibacterial mouthwash and antiseptic rinse. That is 2 more products eliminated. 3. Peppermint essential oil. A half-ounce bottle of food-grade peppermint oil costs $3 to $4 at any health food store or online. At 5 drops per batch of tooth powder, and each batch lasting 3 to 4 months, a single bottle lasts well over a year. Peppermint oil is the flavoring and the breath freshener, but it is also a functional antimicrobial. Menthol, the primary compound in peppermint oil, has demonstrated antibacterial and antifungal properties in multiple peer-reviewed studies. It does not just mask bad breath with a pleasant taste. It actively reduces the oral bacterial load that causes bad breath in the first place. This component is optional. Your great-grandparents often used tooth powder with no flavoring at all, just soda and salt. The peppermint makes the experience familiar to a modern palate. If you prefer a different flavor, substitute clove oil, cinnamon oil, or tea tree oil. Each has documented antimicrobial properties. One ingredient, $4 per year, replaces commercial mouthwash, breath freshener mints, and whitening rinse. That is 3 more products eliminated. The formula: mix 3 tablespoons of baking soda with 1 tablespoon of fine salt in a small glass jar with a lid. Add 5 drops of peppermint oil. Stir or shake until combined. That is it. To use, wet your toothbrush, dip it into the powder, and brush for 2 minutes as normal. The powder foams slightly when it contacts saliva. It does not foam like commercial toothpaste because it contains no sodium lauryl sulfate, the synthetic foaming agent that creates the lather you are accustomed to. That lather does not clean teeth. It exists because consumers were trained to associate foam with cleanliness. The bristles and the abrasive do the work. The foam is theater. After brushing, rinse with water. For an additional antimicrobial rinse, dissolve 1 teaspoon of salt in a glass of warm water and swish for 30 seconds. This replaces commercial mouthwash entirely. 3 ingredients. Less than $6 a year for a family of 4. 9 commercial oral care products eliminated. No tube, no box, no plastic cap, no foil seal, no child safety warnings about swallowing. Because every ingredient in this jar is food grade and non-toxic. No artificial sweeteners, no synthetic colorants, no sodium lauryl sulfate, no triclosan, no microplastics, a glass jar, a spoon, 60 seconds of mixing, a full year of oral care for the cost of a single tube of toothpaste. Walk into any farmhouse in rural Virginia in 1935, any kitchen in the Ozarks, any row house in Baltimore, any tenement apartment in Boston. On the bathroom shelf or beside the kitchen basin, you would have found the same thing. A small tin or glass jar, white powder inside, maybe a faint smell of peppermint or clove, no label, no brand name, no instructions on the back, just powder, just clean teeth. This was not a regional practice, it was universal. From the colonial period through the Second World War, nearly 200 years of American domestic life, homemade tooth powder was the standard, not the alternative, the standard. Commercial toothpaste was the alternative, and for most of that history, it was an alternative that most families considered an unnecessary luxury. The ancient Egyptians used a tooth-cleaning compound of crushed ox hooves, burned eggshells, and pumice. The Romans used bone ash and crushed oyster shells. The Chinese developed a bristle brush in the 15th century and paired it with powdered herbs, salt, and ginseng. Indian Ayurvedic texts dating back 3,000 years describe tooth powders made from charcoal, salt, and dried herbs. Every civilization that practiced oral hygiene arrived independently at the same conclusion: a mild abrasive, an antimicrobial salt or herb. A brush the chemistry is 5,000 years old. It has been validated on every continent in every century by every culture that kept their teeth into old age. It was the single most universal health practice in human history. Then, in the span of 2 decades, a handful of advertising men convinced an entire civilization that the powder on the kitchen shelf was no longer adequate. That teeth now required a scientifically formulated paste, sold in a tube, endorsed by an authority the industry itself had funded. For less than $6 a year, 1 box of baking soda, 1 container of salt, and 1 small bottle of peppermint oil, a family of 4 can replace every oral care product in the bathroom. Starting tonight, no transition period, no adjustment. The same chemistry that cleaned American teeth for 2 centuries works the same way it always has. The complete system, including the exact tooth powder formula, variations for sensitivity and whitening, a saltwater rinse protocol, and formulas for every other personal care product your great-grandmother never paid for is linked in the description below. The Complete Depression-Era Household Manual. 100 formulas that replace every product in your home. https wire-before-thy-sold-it.netlify.app.tomorrow. The $0 Depression-Era Floor Cleaner that replaced every product under your sink. Corporations spent billions to make you forget it. The oral care industry generates $35 billion a year. They cannot sell you a single tube if you know what is in this video. Now you know.